All right, pre-show shenanigans. Today a little bit less shenanigans, but we just wanted to congratulate every member of the Tulane draft class that have made it on the teams thus far. Tajay, Dorian, Nick, Macon, Clark, Shay, our boy, honorary water boy, Deuce, Will, Lummy, Tyreek, Larry. Uh, just congratulate all of you guys for making it on. We've officially had an NFL player on the podcast. 49er fans, if I've seen you guys watching our interview with Shay, stay for the rest of the content. Trust me, you'd like it. We support the 49ers on this podcast. I'm a big Brock Purdy fan. I don't really
I'm
know
just
about
jealous of your guys' franchise that it operates
Yeah.
way better than the Chargers.
So. Yeah. But we have now had an NFL player on. I'm just gonna give myself a pat on the back for that one. Shay, we love you. Good luck to all you guys at training camp, OTAs, and yeah.
But without further ado, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to an extremely important episode of the Waterboy podcast. Today it is episode 113. The NFL draft is complete. The Philadelphia Eagles have assembled the Georgia Eagles, not the Philadelphia Bulldogs. That name is way too long. While my Chargers assembled the LA Horned Frogs.
Yeesh.
Yikes. Well, of course, Steph Curry dropped a 50 burger to eliminate America's favorite team from the NBA playoffs, the Sacramento Kings. But Everett, before we dive into the NFL, let's quickly go over the NBA. First round is complete. Everything is wrapped up and done. Steph dropped a 50 burger yesterday to bounce the Kings. And
2 days
let's
ago.
just say we got Lakers Warriors now, Everett. We got Steph versus LeBron once again, but this time LeBron's playing for the Lakers.
Yeah, I like the fact that this is the matchup that everybody who's a fan of basketball has been waiting for. Like, you want this. As a Lakers fan, I'm not super happy, but I would have rather played the Kings.
Played the Kings, yes.
Would have rather play the Kings.
But you know what? We need to go through everybody to gain respect.
Yeah.
So
you know what, LeBron, this is for Bron's legacy here. For everybody that was naysaying the Disney ring, he's taken the hardest path possible to win the ring this time.
Oh yeah.
We also all know that Adam Silver was up there in the box during that game, just being like, I don't know who the coach of the Kings. I don't know who the coach of the King. I don't know who the coach of the Kings is, but he's like,
Mike Brown.
He's like, hey, can y'all just throw this one for us? Man, please.
I'll
give you all bonuses.
Great job by not rebounding. Keep it up. Do not rebound.
Just takes a bonus. Takes a bonus out. Takes a bonus out for like another 10 minutes.
I don't understand.
Tell the Aaron Fox just not do anything.
But Sabonis literally had positioning on Kevon Looney of all people. Almost every single time there was a rebounding opportunity, but somehow Kevon Looney just put both his hands up and took the ball.
Yeah. I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled as a Lakers fan. Much rather would have played the Kings. Obviously the Lakers have historically beaten the Kings. Not going to talk about the gambling issue.
But what do you mean? That wasn't fixed.
No.
Shout out to Donnelly or Donahue, whatever his name is. Donahue.
Yeah.
Guy.
But no, I'm as an NBA fan, I'm very excited to see this match. I think this is arguably the best. This is the best matchup in all the playoffs, including whatever the finals would be, unless it's Boston and the Lakers. Unless it's the Celtics. Unless it's the Celtics versus the Lakers in the finals, this is the best matchup that we're gonna see. Also, I mean, just talking about matchups.
Culture. You want to talk some Heat culture real quick?
Yeah. I think, Jimmy Butler single-handedly put the team on his back, though.
Yeah, Jimmy in the playoffs is a different beast. Okay, it doesn't matter what they did in the regular season. When it's playoff time, Jimmy Butler's built different. There's no other
and Bam Adebayo is a trash can. So I mean, it gives.
Yeah, I mean, no Tyler Hero, no problem. Some people were.
You got Duncan Robinson. You got Jimmy Neutron up in there.
Oh,
you don't need Tyler Hero.
My favorite Duncan Robinson clip. So Duncan obviously has a podcast. He was explaining how in the 2020 bubble NBA Finals, when it was Lakers versus Heat, he said that the most terrifying thing that happened throughout that series, that whenever Duncan was on the court, every single time LeBron had the ball, he would call for a ball screen with Duncan Robinson so he can switch on and have Duncan guarding LeBron. And every single time that happened, which was very frequently, it happened a lot, Duncan Robinson would say, "Oh my God, I looked like a deer in the middle of the road with just headlights on me. I literally was just sitting there getting picked on the whole game." And when I think about that, like Duncan Robinson this year has entered Spoelstra's doghouse. Okay, he has gotten
He's not having a good
little
season.
minutes, but with Hero out now, Duncan's having to play a little bit. But the Heat culture, what goes on in Miami is something that we really need to understand. Like this isn't the Miami Dolphins, okay? This isn't the Miami Marlins. The Miami Heat, they have that culture set. And you might think, a lot of distractions in Miami, a lot of off the court things that you could entertain yourself with, but that team stays in line. Jimmy Butler and Haslam keeps the boys in line, and when they got to go, they go. So
I also think it would have been a much different series if Giannis was healthy.
Oh, 100%. It would have been completely different. Don't get me wrong. Like it's a shame what happened to the Bucks. That was my preseason pick to win the whole thing. They got bounced round one. But you know what? Quick little embrace debate. What's more embarrassing, Everett? The Bucks with the best NBA record losing in 5, or is the Boston Bruins having the best NHL regular season record ever and then choking a 3-1 lead? What's worse?
It's Boston.
It's Boston.
It's Boston.
It's
Boston.
It is the Bruins.
It's also this is not segueing into the NHL.
No,
let me state this.
I was just
firmly. I know. Let me just state. Let me state this firmly before I say this, because we are not going into the NHL.
Expert.
Yeah, we're not going into the NHL out of this. No. But what I will say is, being up 3-1, and basically they had in the one of the games, I mean, the Panthers ended up winning this game, but they were, I believe it was tied, and they had a straight breakaway to make a goal to win, and it got blocked. Breakaway 1-1, player versus goalkeeper, it got blocked. If they make that, they move to the next round.
I don't know the likelihood. Like, what would you say the percentage of a guy making that shot is? Like over 50, right? Like
it's probably like
an advantage, right?
Yeah, it's probably skater's advantage. But also, like,
that's the term, like non-goalie.
I don't know. Attackers, offense.
Attackers sounds so newbie. I love it.
But I think having the best record in all of hockey history, going up 3-1 and then getting reverse swept. By the way, having the lead with 1 minute left to go in the final game to advance, letting them score, and then also losing in overtime. That might be the worst thing I've ever watched. And I've seen 28-3. So
I've seen 27-0. We've seen a lot of
we've seen some shit, man. But back to the NBA. I think that I mean, the Heat won this past game too versus
they took game one.
Who are they playing?
Game one off of God damn it.
So notable. Somebody.
This goes to show how deep we are into the NBA.
We are.
The Knicks.
Without Julius Randle, by the way. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm just excited. Like we said, I'm just excited to watch this game between LeBron and Steph. This is literally for legacies right here.
Straight up.
This is a legacy
matchup.
Last
little caveat, a slight dub that the Lakers took. Nuggets took game one over the Suns. So if that series can also go deep.
I'm not going to lie, though. Jamal Murray is starting to come back alive.
It's terrifying. It's very scary. Jamal Murray's looking like Bubble Murray. Jokic is obviously still Jokic. And you know what? Shit. You could even say it's a KCP revenge series if they match up with the Lakers next time. You could say
it's a little concerning. Series. It's a little concerning. I think the Cavinder twins, the Miami.
I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but
Cavinder.
I know you're talking.
Yeah, Calvin, whatever.
Cavinder?
They were there courtside. So I believe that's maybe why Jamal Murray was playing so well. But I think that's all we got on the NBA. That's at least all I got, to be honest.
Yeah,
I
no,
was not too focused on the NBA this past
oh
weekend.
yeah, no, obviously we got more important stuff to talk about. Just very excited about this Lakers Warriors matchup. It's going to be exciting as shit to watch. But okay, moving on to the NFL draft. Everett, first things first. Let's talk about let's go over some teams that had some nice drafts. What do you think?
Okay.
I want to start. I know you don't want to start with them, but we have to. Everybody's talking about them. The Philadelphia Bulldogs, the Georgia Eagles. Before we get into it, though, Everett, I want to point this out. The 2021 Georgia defense that won that natty, they won it again last year, obviously. But when just looking at that 2021 Georgia defense, Everett, they have now officially had 7 first-round draft picks from that team. And
no, that defense was
players
gross.
drafted overall. 14 players drafted just from that defense.
Repeat that one more time, just clearly without me interrupting. So if you want to clip that, you can get that. Yeah.
So first things first, before we get into the Philadelphia Bulldogs, the 2021 Georgia defense that won the national championship has had 7 first-round picks drafted from that team and 14 players drafted total. We're just talking about the Georgia defense. We're not talking about their offense here, just their defense. So I think it's safe to say, just at least in recent memory, that defense is by far the best college defense constructed at the minimum in the college football playoff era. At the minimum.
I mean, considering all of them, I mean, they're all on the same team, but basically, considering they're all making impact on NFL teams, let's just put it this way. Who was playing Georgia in
Alabama that year.
Alabama. Yeah, Bryce Young essentially played against an NFL defense that day.
Essentially, but Everett,
a top 5 NFL defense that Everett, day, to clarify.
Guess what's even crazier? Is that before that national championship game, Alabama beat the brakes off of Georgia with Jameson Williams still healthy. Who knows? If Jameson Williams doesn't tear his ACL in the natty, Alabama might have beat them.
But also, with that said, though, everybody who's knocking Bryce Young for his size or just like whatever else that they want to say, watch that game, because he literally played against a top 5 NFL defense that day and was still cooking against them without any of his wide receivers, which, by the way, he's not going to have any in Carolina. So it's clearly possible for him to do stuff.
Adam Thielen.
He's got Mingo. They drafted Mingo.
He's got Mingo and Thielen. He's got dogs.
He's got dogs.
It's fun to watch. But obviously the pictures were circulating of Bryce Young meeting Brian Burns in the Panthers practice facility.
Yeah.
Quite a difference.
Brian Burns, to be fair, is 6'11". He's got literally a foot.
6'11".
6'11", apparently.
Okay. All right.
It could be. I'm taking a tweet that I read at face value. So let me just fact check that.
It's not 6'11". That'd be hilarious if he was.
6'5".
6'11" would be hilarious. Bro, you're
7-footer.
Wrong ball. Go to the NBA, dude.
So he's got like 8 inches on him, essentially. 7.
Yeah.
7 inches.
Much bigger. Yeah. We'll just leave it at that. It's a very funny picture. But okay, back to the Eagles, Everett. They get Jalen Carter at 9. They get Nolan Smith at 30. And, I'm not too high on it, but Keely Ringo round 3, solid value that you could take. And you partner them up with Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean. So the Georgia defense over the past few years obviously have been dominant. We just gave you that stat with their 7 first-round picks.
Hey, wait a second. Don't forget they traded for DeAndre Swift.
Oh, yeah. They also got the Georgia running back. Yeah. So, I totally forgot about that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just going full Georgia. And, when you consider how good that Georgia defense is, not the worst draft strategy out of Howie.
No, not terrible.
Telesco's strategy of assembling the TCU offense, who put up, let me check my notes. Oh, yeah, 7 points against Georgia in the natty. Yeah, something doesn't quite add up here, Everett. Something does not quite add up here. We could start off with that.
Kellen Moore maybe was just really a fan when they came out to LA to play in SoFi.
now that I think about it, like it really does add up. Like Kellen Moore, obviously Dallas, TCU's right there.
Came out, watched them at SoFi.
It all kind of adds
you guys
up.
even got Duggan in there. So
Okay, you know what? We're here. Let's get. Fuck it, we're going to my
get it
Chargers
on.
right now. Okay.
Well, hey,
yeah.
I mean, look, I will just say I thought that you guys had a very good draft. I obviously am not a fan of
You know
Quentin.
what?
I'm not a fan of Quentin Johnston, but you managed to steal Diane Henley in the third round. You got a couple other pretty decent picks out of it. I think you guys improved, and I think that like the value that you got out of certain players was actually pretty good.
Yeah. So what one thing I was thinking about going into this draft, obviously with the Chargers, health facilities or their team medical staff, injuries are a problem. And I was saying around January or February, when it comes to the Chargers, obviously the most important position for any franchise is quarterback. When it comes to the Chargers, the second most important position is backup quarterback. And then it's left tackle and backup left tackle. Those are the four most important positions on the team. But after, thinking about it a little bit, this is loser talk, but I convinced myself we just never saw all the guys on the field at the same time last year. So we never got to see what this team could have been. And you know what? With that thinking, I'm now slightly more on board with, for this first round pick, let's get a guy who can contribute into our team, whether it's offense or defense, with everything around them. And
Okay.
let's not think too far about
3
years down.
Let me ask you a question here. And this is going to compare our two franchises. Okay. This is comparing our two franchises. And this could be a good clip.
We'll see.
Which wide receiver trio is better? Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, and Jordan Addison, or Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Quentin Johnston?
I'm going to, first things first, I'm going to factor in injuries, and because I'm going to have to give it to the Vikings, because I know I'm way more confident that
face
all three
level
will be on the field.
At face level, everybody's healthy. Because this is what I'll say. Overall, on average, right? If you just average all the wide receivers,
probably the Chargers. But
if you average the Chargers wide receivers,
probably them. But
right, Mike Williams still above average, Keenan Allen's above average, Quentin Johnston's rookie. Okay, then you go to the Vikings. KJ Osborne's average. I love you though. Love you. You're my boy. He's gonna be better this year, I promise you. But he's still a great wide receiver. But he's about average. Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the NFL. And now you're adding Jordan Addison. So it's where do you have the comparison at? Because obviously I'm a Vikings fan. I think that they have the best trio in the NFL. So that's just my question. Because out of all the other teams that drafted wide receivers, the Chargers are the only other one where you add it to make a full trio of wide receivers.
I'm gonna be honest, that Seahawks trio is disgusting.
Oh, that is right. They do.
Seahawks trio.
Okay, so here, this is a better question.
Holy shit.
This is a better question. Out of the three three teams. Oh
wait, we have to consider the Ravens too. I think AB is back.
No, he's not back. That was bullshit.
My favorite reply to that was breaking news. Antonio Brown has officially announced he will sign with the Ravens. The only issue is the Ravens didn't accept.
Okay, wait. So out of the three teams that drafted a wide receiver to complete their trio, which one is best? The Seattle Seahawks, Los Angeles Chargers, and the Minnesota Vikings?
Wait, real quick. Zay Flowers, where did he go to again? Did
Baltimore.
They form a tree?
No, there's nothing there. It's him and Odell.
Who else? I think there was someone else.
It was.
There might be some other teams in contention here for a trio.
No, in the first round, Seahawks. It was a run of 4. So Seahawks, Chargers, Baltimore, and the Vikings.
All right, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna have to give it to the Seahawks. Okay, I'm gonna have to give it to them. Break it down real quick. Let's start off with best receivers on each team. Jordan Addison, or not Jordan Addison. Well, one day he might be.
One day.
But Justin Jefferson 1. Keenan, DK, I'd say after last year, because Keenan wasn't healthy, we could put DK above Keenan, even though I'd say Keenan's better, but I'm biased.
Yeah.
But we put DK above Keenan. Wide receiver 2s now. Lockett's better, the best wide receiver 2 out of all of them. Better than Mike Williams, better than KJ or Jordan Addison. I would put Jordan Addison above KJ, but obviously we're going to have to see what's going to happen.
Yeah,
but
okay.
And then when it comes to wide receiver 3, I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is the best wide receiver in the class.
I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba was the best wide receiver in the draft. We asserted that was our opinion. So honestly, I think that, I mean, that's not wrong, but I mean, the Vikings will prove to everybody.
No, I'm not trying to knock the Vikings here. It's just
no, but they're going to prove to everybody why they're going to prove to everybody why they're the best trio in the NFL.
We're going to find now. You know what? This could be a little interesting. What do you think? What do you think are the most exciting offenses now? Let's take into account quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. Forget the O-line. We can throw in tight ends in the mix too.
I'm not trying to be biased, but I think the Vikings have probably the most exciting possible offense going into next season because
not the Jets.
No, and I'm going to explain why.
Not the Jets.
I'm going to explain why. Because Kirk Cousins is a very good quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC right now, contending to be the best quarterback, at least top 3. Okay. So you have Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Jordan.
Wait. Say that last top 3 in the NFC. Is that what you just said?
Yes. At least top 3 in the NFC. To be honest,
when you look how weak the NFC quarterbacks are.
Yes.
Not that crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, Kirk, either way, though, he's still a very good quarterback. He's a very capable quarterback. He obviously is a starting quarterback. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But you have Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, who I don't even need to talk about, Jordan Addison, who's a disgusting route runner, KJ Osborne, who's very capable in his own hands if he gets to have a shot. Also, by the way, having them takes pressure off of Justin Jefferson, who's been getting double teamed the whole time. You have TJ Hawkinson, and then on top of all of that, you still have Dalvin Cook right now.
You know what? While we're on the topic of our running backs who've publicly said they don't want to play for our teams anymore, I was thinking about this.
You don't want to finish that question though?
Wait. Go back to your.
You asked what's going to be the most exciting offense in the NFL next year, and I said the Vikings.
Okay, okay. Actually,
it's a good clip.
I just got sidetracked for a second thinking about our running backs, but
the most exciting offense in the NFL next year is going to be the Minnesota Vikings.
I think there's just so many different moving parts and pieces. I'm very excited to see the Jets. There were clips today of Aaron Rodgers just throwing to Garrett.
No, don't get me wrong.
Defenders out there, but oh my god, that got me so.
I'm excited to see the Jets, and I'm excited to watch this, but I don't think that's going to be the most exciting team overall, the most exciting offense overall to watch. I think when you're talking about all the possible pieces, the Vikings have pieces at every single level that just makes it unbelievable to be able to see and watch what they're going to do.
I really like what they got going on offense. I'm not trying to knock the Vikings here. I have no idea what could happen with the Jets here. I'm kind of more so leaning on the side that with all this hype, they might just go fucking 10-7 next year, like 11-6, and stumble their way into the postseason. But we're gonna have to wait and find out. We're gonna have to wait and find out. But Everett, while we're on the topic of running backs, I don't think it's really. I just can't see this out of Eckler. Like, let's say the Chargers don't find a trade partner for him. From what I'm hearing, it doesn't look like they're going to find a trade partner for him. I don't think it's in Eckler's character to sit out next year, like in protest for not having his contract. But if I was Austin Eckler, I think, shit, if you're not going to get your money, probably do sit out. Like, just from his perspective in terms of his future. Like,
I don't think that
Dalvin Cook though.
Here's the thing.
See him sitting out until he.
I don't
want to be here.
Austin. The thing with running backs though, and this was learned with Le'Veon Bell, that's your career. Your career is. Everybody it's known at this point that running backs is, and we've said this, is the most replaceable position in sports in the NFL because of how many running backs are in the league, how many running backs go out for the draft, and on top of all of that,
like the average shelf life of a running
your
back.
Shelf life and just the ability to make cuts and stuff. Obviously, there's a very large discrepancy between a great running back and an average running back, but there's middle ground in between there where you are a capable starter. Like Tony Pollard proved that to everybody this past season. Now he's going to be the starter in Dallas with Deuce Vaughn, who I guarantee you is going to start doing the same thing. And that's the reason why I honestly don't think either of them will sit out. I think that was kind of proven with Le'Veon Bell, because also they're both older running backs. Dalvin Cook is 27, I think 28. So you take another year on that. Who's going to want to trade for a 30-year-old running back, 29-year-old running back? So I honestly see that it's the teams hold the cards in this situation, because nobody wants to overpay for running back. Austin Eckler is a little bit of a different situation because he does similar things to CMC, and obviously CMC want like having an athlete like that is not a replaceable thing, because he's not just a running back, he's a wide receiver. He's both. But I think that both of them are probably gonna, if they don't end up getting traded, they're probably just gonna restructure. Dalvin Cook will probably restructure and stay on the team, because on top of that, for the Vikings, Dalvin Cook, you're now a component in one of the hypothetical best offenses in the NFL going into next season. And
even from
why would you not want
Dalvin's
to stick with that?
perspective, like, shit, if he puts on really good tape next year,
I mean, he's always going to put on
the best way for him to get his next big contract.
He's always going to put on good tape, and on top of that, now he's got to play. He's playing the card that he just surgically repaired his labrum or shoulder, or whatever he's been playing on, that's been torn for 2 seasons. So that's now the card. He's like, oh, I'm a fully healthy player now. And this is what I've been doing when I wasn't healthy. So watch what I can do when I am. I think just because the Vikings drafted Dwayne McBride, there's a decent chance that he's going to get traded. The issue now is the Dolphins drafted a running back. I'm not even going to pronounce the last name, because you know who I'm talking. I know it's a chain, Achani, whatever I don't know. Achan, whatever. You try and pronunciate that name and come back and tell me what it is.
I swear. I just Devon Achan himself, when he says his name, he
says it's 5 different times,
every time,
different ways. So I mean, like I that's my concern with Dalvin. But for Austin Eckler, I just don't think he's getting traded at all. He wants a contract. Nobody wants to trade for. If he was going to get traded, if he was asking just to get traded on the contract he has now, I think almost every team in the NFL that wasn't set at the position
who would be willing to take him
100% are going for him. But he's kind of worked himself into a corner, and I just so
I'm just thinking about this. How often is it to have a no trade clause in the NFL?
For quarterbacks, it's not abnormal, but it's pretty. For any other position, it's not. For any other position, it's kind of weird. Unless, like, I could see like Justin Jefferson getting a no trade clause.
Yeah,
or like a player that's like a homegrown player that just really like, it's like JJ Watt could have had like a no trade clause. Like, he's the heart of Houston, and if his coach gets fired, a new GM comes in, they want to get rid of him. Like, that's like the promise that the franchise made. So you can't get traded unless you want.
Like, obviously, no trade clause. Like, the franchise has some power there to like keep you on their team, but to a degree, I'd say
really it's the no trade clause is your power.
You have the power because you can pick which teams you can get traded.
Well, no, the no trade clause really is there for the players, not for the team. It doesn't help the team in any way.
Well,
it's for the players,
thinking,
because
like, let's say it's a whack ass linebacker. Obviously, this would never happen, but if you had a no trade clause on some random ass guy, like, obviously for quarterbacks, the power's in their hands. You can now essentially pick who you get traded to. And I was thinking,
I mean, that's why, I mean, it never go on a player of like that position, because it has to be valued positions like quarterbacks, and also because quarterbacks are getting paid so much money. That's also why, and they're such an important position. That's also why that they have no trade clauses, because it's more incentive for them to accept it. Because a lot of these quarterbacks too, by the way, the big reason why there's no trade clauses is because they have families. And you don't want to get up and move your whole fucking family. Like, if you're going to accept a job at this spot, like, you want to have job security, and it's job security.
I think one of the strangest, this is pretty common in the MLB, because it's very, very frequently dudes. If you have 1 year left on your contract, you're not on a contending team, you'll get traded. There's a lot of MLB guys that they'll get traded mid-season at the deadline, and they already have their kids set up for their school and shit in the fall, so they can't really pull them out. So they'll just spend 4 months on their own, just away from the family.
Which is obviously not ideal.
Yeah.
But
Literally.
speaking about quarterbacks and players being traded, one trade that I really want to see is I want the Vikings to trade for Matt Corral. And
You've been probably the biggest Matt Corral stan probably on.
well, when you see him single-handedly execute your entire team on national television,
Your perspective might
yeah,
change. Yes,
changes
I
a
understand.
little. It
I
changes a little
understand.
bit. I have nightmares.
I get it. I get it.
But look, you just can't feel like you can't not feel bad for Matt Corral. He came in last season, got drafted to potentially be the next quarterback of the Panthers, gets injured, goes on IR, doesn't play a single snap the entire season, didn't even get to play in the preseason. And now he is coming back off the injury, feels good. They draft Bryce Young 1 overall. They sign, I think they signed Andy Dalton to play
Nice guy.
quarterback.
Really
Nice guy,
nice guy.
but you're not even in contention to be the backup anymore. And I think Matt Corral is a good quarterback. He's a very young quarterback, and like if you want a chance to develop somebody, like if the Vikings took a flyer on Jaron Hall, why not send a 7th rounder for Matt Corral, who's coming off an injury, who's still looked good and is not going to get any use out of himself in Carolina. And that honestly goes for any team. I think that any team in the NFL who's looking for a capable quarterback or just a backup or somebody to try and develop, I think Matt Corral is a great choice. I just don't think that he deserves to stay in Carolina.
I mean, I would argue that I think I'd rather, trade my 7th round pick for Matt Corral than take Max Duggan. But I realized we never quite finished up on the TCU Chargers.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just get into this real quick.
Oh boy.
After
it's a
having
big segment.
After having some nights to really process these picks, okay, before I get into the next 2 TCU players, but let's start with the big one, the first rounder. After having some nights to really think about this and process it, I understand why the Chargers took Quentin Johnston. Okay. I understand why they did it. I'm not saying I agree with the move still, but I see why they did it. Okay. So to be honest, Everett, I'm actually relieved that JSN went the pick before us at 20 because I know the Chargers would have drafted Quentin Johnston over JSN if both were.
No, you know what really would have happened?
And that would have
they would have traded back.
me.
They would have traded back.
So this is another thing before we get into it. We could have just traded back and still gotten Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, I mean the Ravens. I heard the Ravens obviously really liked him. The Giants want to get not like the Ravens really like Zay Flowers. The Giants also really like Zay Flowers, but they probably would have still drafted Quentin Johnston. Vikings didn't like him at all. I'm pretty sure. So
it's just we could have a chance to trade back, but okay. Quentin Johnston is a very weird prospect when you look at his frame and his size and what you would expect him to do. So he's a massive 6'4" target. There were some people out there who compared him to Mike Williams, okay? Which could not be further from the truth. They are literally opposite players, yet relatively same frames and sizes. But despite being a massive 6'4" target, Quentin Johnston, arguably, I would say, contested one-on-one catches are the weakest part of his game. I would say that's arguably the worst part of his game, which is ironic for what you would assume out of a 6'4" big body receiver. But this is one thing that I was blown away when I saw. Among all the wide receiver prospects in the NFL draft, Quentin Johnston noticeably ranks ahead of all receivers in terms of yak and broken tackles after the catch. He noticeably leads all receivers, which I was shocked to read. So because of that, or this other thing, last year, the Chargers could have also been partly due to receiver injuries and starting literal practice squad receivers on the team, but the Chargers ranked in the bottom 5 in the league in yak and yards after the catch. So because that was a glaring weakness for the Chargers and Quentin Johnston was a noticeably dominant person in the yak game compared to the other receivers, I understand why they took him. I understand it. But this is my problem, Everett. The odds are Keenan Allen and Mike Williams aren't going to be on this team in 2 to 3 years. Maybe one of them will, but both of them won't be. Shit, it might even be next year one of them's gone. So that's my problem. Quentin Johnston, we didn't draft him as a wide receiver 1 to take over, which is something that Jordan Addison could do. Shit, maybe even Zay Flowers could do it. Jackson Smith and Jr. definitely can do it.
I don't think Zay Flowers can do that, but
maybe. But in a year or two, Quentin Johnston cannot take over that wide receiver 1 role. He can't do it. He is a wide receiver 2. He is a secondary option. He is not a wide receiver 1. And we drafted a guy to complement what we have now, which I get. Like, I understand it. But we've essentially got 1 season to make this work. Quentin Johnston better ball up next year at Z, or else the whole shit just went to shit.
So let's say your entire team stays healthy the whole season.
Which literally cannot happen. But
it's physically impossible. But let's pretend. Where do you see the Chargers ending up?
12
realistically.
12 wins.
12 wins.
12 and 5.
Okay.
Wins.
How far into the playoffs?
AFC is a gauntlet, Everett. You know, we're winning. We're getting through the wild card at the fucking minimum if we're fully healthy.
Okay, so.
But I'm not sure if we're competing for an AFC conference championship.
So essentially what you're telling me is you guys spent a pick on a wide receiver for now to fight to get to the divisional round.
Well, this is what, like, I'm obviously, it's very hard for me to get over the fact that we're the Chargers and that we're going to Charger ourselves. Like, last year I thought we could do it.
I mean, a lot of people thought that you could do it before the season started.
For believing that shit, Everett. I'm not doing it again. But this year, it's screw it. If we can get everyone healthy, I think we can win the AFC West. I think we can do it. I think we could take down those shitheads. I think we could take down the evil empire in Kansas City. I think we could do it. If we're all healthy. I also just want to say last year, this is loser talk, but that week 2 game in Kansas City was robbed from the Chargers. Literally the refs gave it to the Chiefs. It was the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. Phantom defensive pass interference on Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Get the hell out of here with that shit.
We want to talk about phantom calls. I got a lot of those from my
phantom call for the Chiefs. Phantom call.
Yeah, I also had a referee run into my player trying to play on the ball. Anyways,
we've had our qualms. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but okay. So obviously the Chargers, Max Duggan. I mean,
okay. So this is what I'm thinking about when it comes. When I think about 7th round picks in the past, this is kind of what I'm thinking about now. So Chargers situation, kind of a late 7th round pick. I think we had 250 or 240 in the draft, like one of the final 15 picks. When I'm thinking of that last 7th round pick, I'm thinking more so that a lot of those teams, when they get to the 7th round, their prospects of who they want to draft might just be off the board. They might not have guys they want to draft anymore, and they might just be at that 7th round pick looking for their top target undrafted free agents they want to sign. And so I'm thinking, like, from the Chargers spot, a couple picks before, I don't know this, I gotta look it up, but a couple picks for, I would argue that the Chargers had some of their top undrafted free agent prospects start getting picked right before their slot, and that might have scared Telesco a little bit. You know, he's kind of got a little bit of a baby brain. He gets scared easily, and so when he starts seeing his undrafted free agent targets starting to go, he was like, "Oh shit, Max Duggan's my number 1 undrafted free agent. We got to draft him here just to confirm we get him." And I'm kind of thinking that might be what's going on there. Because, like,
yeah, I mean, quarterbacks also are a priority, and a lot of times you see teams take flyers on them in the later rounds.
I get it. It's just my question is, why re-sign Easton Stick last year if we're gonna try to get Max Duggan in 7?
I mean, the Vikings re-signed Nick Mullins and drafted Sharon Hall. Like, it's just competition. I mean, it's not a guaranteed salary, so you can really do whatever you need to do.
I know, but I mean,
Max Duggan's going to be your practice squad quarterback. Let's just be honest with the at least this season. That's basically a guarantee. But also just talking about undrafted free agents, the Vikings probably got the best undrafted free agent class that I have seen in a very long time. The
Oh yeah,
Vikings
we're about to get into some undrafted guys.
the Vikings managed to pick up Ivan Pace Jr., who, by the way, I mocked several times to get him in the 4th and 5th round for the Vikings. Got him as an undrafted free agent. Andre Carter, the third or the second, whatever his name is, the guy from Army, the outside, the edge rusher,
Oh,
was
I
originally
think I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
was mocked for a while in the first round and fell completely out of it. They picked him up. They got a center from TCU and a couple other players, I think, but all of them possible impact players. All of them, I mean, Ivan Pace 100% is going to make this team. He could end up even being an impact player this season, and to get that value as an undrafted free agent is incredible.
Yeah, there were two undrafted guys that Chargers picked up. I was pretty happy about. First one, probably gonna butcher this, but Gerard Clark,
Gerard Clark,
Coastal Carolina. He was
Yeah,
floated to go 4th or 5th round, and
like
picked him up as an
sixth
undrafted
round.
guy. We'll take that. Another guy, Cam Brown, corner out of Ohio State, going into last season. I was very high on Cam Brown. He played very, very well in 2021 down the stretch, and last year didn't quite go to plan. Didn't quite work out the way we thought it was gonna work. But you know what, Chargers, we take a flyer on Cam Brown.
Oh.
Shit, we'll see.
Also, I mean, this is why the people that make mocks literally like a full year in advance, like there are people making mocks for 2024 right now. This is why it's stupid, because Eli Ricks was mocked to go in the first round in a couple of mock drafts like a year ago today. He went undrafted.
And Keely.
I mean, yeah, and Keely. Keely got drafted in the third, but Eli Ricks was literally a prospective first round pick at this time last year and ended up going undrafted, which is both incredible and very scary at the same time.
I do think, just overall looking at it, a lot of the guys that were mocked to go really early did end up going pretty early. Like I think consensus last year, many people had, Bryce Young, Will Anderson, CJ Stroud in their top 3. That was pretty standard. Obviously shit worked out a little differently than what we thought, but
I mean, like Tyler Van Dyke was in there too. Like there was,
yeah, but I mean that one we all knew wasn't gonna pan out. Fucking Josh Gaddis in Miami. I mean, come on, what are we talking about, guys? What are we talking about? But you know what, Everett, while we're on the topic of way too early, I have my way too early top 10 NFL draft prospects for 2024. We're gonna see how well these pan out. Probably not gonna be great, but here are my top 10 NFL draft prospects. Way too early top 10 NFL draft prospects for 2024. Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake May, Brock Bowers, Olu Fashanu, Joe Alt, Kool-Aid McKinstry, also greatest name in college football, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, and Michael Penix. Those are my way too early top 10. Is that going to be the top 10 next year? God, no.
So the fuck was that? This is a question. I tweeted this out earlier, but so right now the Cardinals are projected to have the first 2 picks in the NFL draft next year because fucking Houston decided to trade away their first to get Will Anderson this year, which not worth it in my opinion. But anyways, so the Cardinals are currently projected to, I mean, also makes sense because they look like the worst team in the NFL at this point in the season. But they're projected to have the first 2 picks in the draft next year. If you're the Arizona Cardinals, right? If you're the Arizona Cardinals next year, would you keep Kyler Murray and trade away the first overall pick for a generational haul for somebody else to draft Caleb Williams, or would you trade Kyler Murray and draft Caleb Williams? Keep in mind at 2, they most likely are picking Marv Harrison Jr.
That is a good question. What they could do.
I'll just clarify that too.
I'm pretty biased as a USC guy. Like I am pretty biased, in that I think Caleb is him.
I mean, I do too, but here's the thing, because
My
other
question is,
teams
what do you think Arizona
also,
could get in a trade for Kyler? Remember, you have to take on his contract.
I mean, yeah, you probably will get like a prop. You could get a first depending on how he does next year.
You could.
But I mean, and maybe a couple other things too. But
At the same time, if Kyler does ball up next year, though, they might just be like, we're keeping him.
it's also that first overall pick, by the way, for Caleb Williams. As a Vikings fan,
You can trade
let's
away.
just
You can get.
I would right now. I would pull a Sonny Weaver from draft day. I give away my first three overall, my next three first rounders to get Caleb Williams.
I think Caleb Williams is probably the closest thing we've seen to a Patrick Mahomes-esque quarterback come out of college recently. And obviously the fire department says otherwise.
But let's come back to this episode. When Caleb in a year,
do it's.
I mean, I've seen it in person. I've seen it 5 feet away from my face. It's disgusting. But here's the thing: if I'm the Cardinals, though, also think about it this way: you're going to get multiple first round picks for this spot, and you might even be able, if you get a first round pick that year too, you can even trade that one to get even more stuff. And
yeah, okay. Now I think about
that's why, because you get such a big haul for a team you're trying to rebuild. The question is Caleb? I mean, Caleb Williams is obviously great, but Kyler Murray is a very, very good and very athletic quarterback too, who's still very young. And the question is, are you willing?
Is Kyler top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now?
Coming off an ACL injury now.
We'd all probably say no, but I swear 2 years ago, everyone's saying top 5.
See, that's the thing. And it depends on how he comes off. It also depends how he comes off this injury, working with literally nothing because they don't have anything.
Yeah, and his coach is like the biggest meme ever. He's like the weirdest dude ever.
So that's the question. I mean, personally, if I'm the Cardinals, it's a really tough decision for me because guess what? Kyler Murray does a lot of the things that you're drafting Caleb Williams to do. He's already been in the league, has the experience, and now you have the capital to start building around him when you haven't before. But at the same time, you're going to get the rookie contract. You're going to pair him up with Marv, and you get to start fresh.
Well, something I'm also thinking is, do we think the Cardinals can assemble a Super Bowl contender within the next 4 years if they take Caleb and Marv, pass up on Kyler? Like, because you want to capitalize on your quarterback's rookie contract window. That's what everyone.
See, the answer to that's no. I don't think that after next season, I don't think that they're going to be a Super Bowl contending team. Yeah, they could be with Caleb, but also, like, it's a little bit of a different thing. And also, Kyler Murray's contract by that point probably is not going to be as expensive as you actually think it is because the cap increases, more players get bigger contracts. Caleb Williams at some point is going to get probably the largest contract in NFL history, so take that into contention. So, I mean, either way, you're going to get picks for one of the two spots. You're either going to get picks for Caleb Williams or you're going to get picks for Kyler Murray. The question is, how many picks are you going to get? Who do you want to build around? And would you rather build around Kyler Murray or have to draft Caleb Williams and wait longer to get those picks to build around him?
Yeah. There's a lot of questions around it. I think for all Cardinals might just be reset this whole window, get rid of Kyler, go get Stroud and Marv. Or not Stroud, go get Caleb and Marv. Oh my God, Caleb and Marv. That almost happened at USC, We were very close to getting that at USC.
Almost.
That would have been fun to watch. But okay, Everett. While we're winding down here near the end, something that I just wanted to cover. The Lions and Falcons made some interesting decisions with their first round picks, taking running backs at 8 and 12. And
I projected Bijan at 8, just saying.
But I got into a debate with a Falcons fan on Twitter over taking Bijan at 8. And let's just say this Falcons fan, his best response to me was, "You're so hung up on the number 8 pick in taking Bijan. You're so hung up on this being a top 10 pick." He's saying what Bijan can do for Atlanta next year is more than what any other prospect could do. And you know what? Maybe for just next year, like maybe that is right. But if you're telling me Bijan Robinson at 8 is the key to Atlanta making a Super Bowl run, you're nuts. You're nuts. You're crazy.
I mean, look, I will say that with the offense that the Falcons run, they're also going to probably rotate Bijan out to try and keep him healthy. It's not going to be the 3-down back, but he's going to be used excessively.
I hope they do that.
He works perfectly in that offense for what they want. The issue is the rest of the team just doesn't exist, and they just don't throw the football. So, and I don't know about you, but I mean, we haven't seen anything from Desmond Ridder yet, so we really don't know where the quarterback position is going to go. I mean, for the Falcons, I like the pick and I like the match with Bijan Robinson at 8. The issue is it does not really make them better. It does not.
Sure this is the solution to everything.
They have Tyler Algier, who was a 1,000-yard rusher last season, was on his rookie contract. Obviously, Bijan Robinson is much better than Tyler Algier. He might be the best prospect. I mean, Saquon Barkley is obviously amazing, but he might be the best prospect since Adrian Peterson came out in the draft. So
I literally say of the past decade, the 3 best running back prospects are Bijan, Saquon, and Zeke. Like literally, those are the 3 best running
the
back
last
prospects.
10 years. So 2013. Yeah. Okay. I was thinking what year it was. Because AP came out in 2008. So I mean, yeah, I agree with that. But also it's just I think that the issue at hand was if they want to Bijan that badly, knowing that the Lions were going to take Jahmyr Gibbs at this point, you couldn't trade down.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that.
I'm making fun of the Lions for taking Jahmyr Gibbs, but if I swear to God, if the Lions got Bijan Robinson, I would have been.
Oh, really you would have been way more upset.
I would have been very upset.
We could talk Lions real quick. Gibbs at 12, but also linebacker Jack Campbell at 18.
So he was the best linebacker that I had listed. I thought that he was the best linebacker, but I didn't grade anybody to be a first-round linebacker. And on top of that,
I also just don't think we should take a linebacker in the first
round. On top of that, well, yeah, not. I mean, whatever. But on top of that, I don't think anybody was taking a linebacker in the first round. So if the Lions really wanted him, they could have just traded all the way down and got more picks. Because I guarantee you there are people who wanted to pick somebody at that spot to jump maybe for JSN, something like that. But the Lions opted to reach extensively. Like, you know the meme, our expectations were low, but God damn. Holy shit. Yeah. That was bad.
Yeah,
that was really bad.
I'm just thinking for the Lions, like they also end up snagging Hendon Hooker later.
They snagged Hooker and they got Brian Branch, and I'll give that both to them.
No, the Brian Branch pick.
This is a great pick.
Oh shit, they actually did something.
Everything else made zero sense. And on top of that, I think they took Sam Laporta in the second round, start of the second round. That was who it was. Keep in mind, Michael Mayer's still on the board. Darnell Washington's there.
Yes. I mean, we could talk Darnell Washington. I heard he was falling a lot because there were a lot of injury scares.
Yeah, he fell a lot, but also, I mean, Michael Mayer's on the board. A lot of teams had him graded out to be the first. I mean, a lot of people had him graded out as a first-round prospect, potentially the best tight end in the draft, and he fell all the way out. And your next move when you need to get a tight end is to draft not him. So that's just I don't understand it.
Yeah, I like also compared to like some other Iowa tight ends, Laporta's not quite necessarily like that blocking guy you're looking at from like a Kittle.
Or Hawkinson. Hawkinson's
or TJ, but like I guess he's more of a Noah Fant type receiver, even though Fant might be like the most athletic tight end I've ever seen. Laporta, I mean, shit. When in doubt, take the Iowa tight end. Fuck it. When in doubt. Is there one? Oh, actually, there's one last thing I want to say. We gotta shout out the boys. I'm wearing them right now. Legion of Boom is back. I love the Witherspoon pick for the Seahawks. Maybe Jalen Carter might have been a better pick for them long term and make an impact on their defense. But I love Woolen and Witherspoon. I love them two together. Legion of Boom is back.
I want to make fun of every single team in the NFC North besides the Vikings, because outside of the Vikings, holy shit, there were a lot of boneheaded picks made, at least in the first round. Like people were trying to defend the Bears on the
Ooh,
losers in the draft.
who's that tackle they took?
They took Darnell Washington over Paris Johnson, by the way. Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright, great player, first round pick, obviously gonna be a very good tackle. I think Paris Johnson might have been the better pick. And on top of that, you traded down one spot. And instead of taking the best player prospectively in the draft, the best defensive player in the draft, and at a position you need, you traded down one spot for a 4th round pick that I guarantee you is not going to give you the production that's similar to Jalen Carter. And you gave him to a fucking team that is assembling the Infinity Stones over there. So
yeah, they're assembling the Avengers. Yeah, no,
it's a small. That's Ryan
right
Poles. If Ryan Poles thinks he's going to come anywhere close to making an NFC push, not anymore, buddy. You just gave fucking the entire code to winning the NFL to the Eagles over there.
Yeah, I mean, we can debate Darnell Wright over Skoronski
and then on
as well.
On
but
top,
I just think that this move, what it signals to me, is that obviously we know this, but Justin Fields is the guy. They wanted to
on top of that too. By the way, the Packers take Lucas Van Ness at 13 instead of, I don't know, maybe a position that they need, maybe somebody that can help their offense with a wide receiver, because you don't have any except for Deuce Watts.
It would have been really funny if they did take a 1st round wide receiver.
But also they drafted 2 tight ends in the first 3 rounds. 2. Who the fuck does that?
The Packers did that?
Yes, they took 2 tight ends in the first 3 rounds. They took Tucker Kraft and who was the other? The dude out of OSU, Musgrave.
I'm
Musgrave.
picking it up right now. Yeah,
Lucas Musgrave. And then don't even get me started on the line. So just boneheaded decisions. The Vikings, I mean, I'm happy with Jordan Addison. We just apparently couldn't take people unless they were paired from the same university.
Yeah, you guys went for the USC Vikings. I went for the TCU Chargers.
Well, we had 2 USC.
Went for the Georgia Eagles.
We had 2 USC back to back, and then 2 LSU back to back. So,
okay, perfect. All right. Okay, I have
last thing.
One last shout out that I wanted to give. I thought the Steelers absolutely killed it for what they were getting at. Some people questioning the Broderick Jones pick.
I mean, I had a mock there. It was at 14. The original pick was pick 17, but I still had a mock there. So give me brownie points for that. I got the player and team right, just not the pick.
You get a half point there for sure. A lot of people are knocking that, whatever, but Joey Porter round 2, absolute hammer. Hammer.
Steal.
Also just perfect, him going to the Steelers. Keanu Benton, big time pickup on the D line, and they get Darnell Washington at the end of round 3.
Yeah, there
are injury concerns there.
Yes, but I mean, he's not going to be their tight end 1 to begin with. Pat Fryermuth is one of the better tight ends in the league, so
and also
really
Darnell, one thing that he really is a 6th lineman. He really is. He can really help out that run game, which was struggling.
But I mean, the Steelers definitely had one of the better drafts this year, and I'll give them that. I did not include them. That was a mistake. I should have included them in my list on TikTok. I apologize. I blame the unnamed intern. He didn't give me the proper list.
Oh yeah, it was him. It was all on him. But yeah, NFL draft is over. One of us is a lot more happy than the other. But we're just gonna have to wait.
I'm still happy. I'm still happy.
No, I'm saying you are happy.
I'm
I'm convincing myself to be happy. I'm trying to find happiness.
Well, when Quentin Johnston scores the first touchdown next year, you'll be excited. Hopefully that first touchdown's week 1 and not week 17. But yeah. With that, thank you guys so much for watching, listening. Rate us 5 stars. You can find us on Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, and on Twitter and Instagram at Waterboy Pod. Follow me and Grant on Twitter at our handles below right here at Everett Takes and at Waterboy Grant. Make sure to subscribe, like, favorite, follow. share, download, everything in between. We'll see you in the next episode. Waterboys out.